Well, it just, which one were you close with?
Both on. Every last one on.
YNW Melly's whole situation just took a wild turn. A close homie just dropped a leaked clip from that infamous late night, and what came out has everyone going crazy online. This ain't some small leak. This footage might completely change what we thought we knew about that night. Let's dive into the details and break down the major shock that just hit the internet. These leaked videos came out in November 2025, featuring Jacoby Mills, a close associate who was reportedly there that night. And they're giving us the clearest inside look we've ever had at what really went down with Sack Chaser and Juvie. But don't get it twisted. This isn't disturbing or violent footage of the crime itself. It's actually interrogation room clips, raw and unfiltered, showing real reactions and conversations that are making everyone online lose their minds. This video hits different because Mills wasn't just talking from the sidelines. He was right there that night in the red car trailing the Jeep where things supposedly went down. This isn't just some rumor floating through the streets. This is someone who lived it firsthand, someone who knew the crew personally and saw everything unfold from the inside out. Now, to really get why this leak is setting off such a firestorm across social media, we gotta rewind a bit. This whole case has been keeping the internet locked.
I yelled downstairs, I say, 80, see a Sack and Melly in the room. He already sleep in the Sack room. He had ran to the stairway because he heard me talking crazy, like, man, what the f going on? He looking lost, like, what's going on, bro? I say, man, go see a Sack in his room, bro.
In for over 6 years straight. It all began back on October 26, 2018, when two rising rappers, Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams and Juvie, lost their lives in a shocking way that shook the hip-hop world forever. Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr. and Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams were found inside a Jeep Cherokee parked at Memorial Hospital in Miramar, Florida. Now, YNW Melly, real name Jamel Demons, wasn't some random guy from the block. He was one of their closest friends, part of the same YNW crew that had been grinding together for years, building something big in Florida's rap scene. These weren't rivals. They were brothers who came up together, sharing the same dream and watching each other's backs every step of the way. At first, the story that hit the news sounded tragic but straightforward. Cortland YNW Bortland Henry reportedly drove his two injured friends to the hospital after what they said was a random drive-by attack. On the surface, it looked like another heartbreaking case of talented young artists caught in senseless street violence, the kind of story our communities have heard too many times.
He pulled that gun on me.
Saying Kobe pulled a gun on him?
Yep, 5:30 that morning. She called out of work and she called. Wait, stop.
And you really
stop.
can't even tell Courtland. I know what.
Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it.
That's what she told Mariah too, because that's what Mariah told me. Jamie just called me at 8 and told me.
Melly called her at like 5:30 that morning.
But when investigators started digging deeper, the details didn't line up. The official reports and forensic findings started painting a completely different picture, one that didn't match what was first told. Instead of bullets coming from outside the car like you'd expect in a drive-by, the evidence showed that the shots were fired from inside the Jeep. Prosecutors claimed that around 1 a.m. on October 26, 2018, 8 young men pulled up to New Era Recording Studio in Fort Lauderdale to put in some late-night work on music. Nothing out of the ordinary. Studios stayed busy at those hours, packed with hungry artists chasing that next big hit. But according to the newly leaked footage, the vibe that night was strange from the very start. Jacoby Mills described how everyone was acting off, quiet, tense, and not like their usual selves. Sack Chaser was reportedly on edge, even snapping at people who were nodding off during the session. The energy was bad and the music just wasn't flowing. By 3:19 a.m., they decided to shut it down and head out. But that's when the night started taking a dark and confusing turn. The crew split up into 2 rides. 4 of them jumped into a red Mitsubishi SUV. Trivian Glass, Dontavius Withers, Jacoby Mills, and Adrian Davis. The other 4, Cortland YNW Bortland Henry, Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams, Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas, and Jamel YNW Demons got into a great Jeep Cherokee. Everyone looked ready to just call it a night, tired from the long studio session.
Dead and gone. I already know what y'all here for.
Well, it just, which one were you close with?
Both on. Every last one on.
Did you grow up with them?
Every last one on.
Surveillance cameras later showed both cars heading out together, taking the same route, I-95 South to 595, across the I-75 South, and finally toward Miramar Parkway. Everything seemed totally normal at first. Just two cars full of young artists going home after hours in the booth. At 180th Avenue, the red Mitsubishi kept heading south and was caught on security cameras going through the gate at Sunset Lakes around 3:50 a.m., the gated neighborhood where most of the crew was staying. But the gray Jeep? It never appeared on that same footage. Instead, cell phone records later revealed something strange. The Jeep had actually gone north. So where were they heading? This is where things take a seriously chilling turn. The Jeep went north on 180th up to Pines Boulevard, then west all the way toward the edge of the Everglades, a dark, empty stretch of road where no one was around to see a thing. From there, it moved south on US 27 and turned left on Pembroke Road, a dead-end street that leads to an isolated industrial area. Cell phone data placed the Jeep at that remote spot right around 4:02 a.m., and that exact moment became the center of the entire case. Now here's where things really start falling apart for the original story. When investigators checked the full stretch of Miramar Parkway, the place where the supposed drive-by attack was said to have happened, they found absolutely nothing. No shell casings, no shattered glass, no bullet holes, no tire marks, zero physical proof that any kind of shooting had happened there at all. Meanwhile, the medical examiner's report added another twist that left everyone stunned. It showed that by the time the drive-by was allegedly staged at 4:02 a.m., both victims had already lost their lives. The extra bullet damage found on the vehicle appeared to have been added afterwards, making it seem like an outside attack had taken place, when in reality, it might have been an attempt to cover up what really happened inside that Jeep.
Why you got second juvie tattooed on you? They not dead. I wouldn't tat nobody on me that's not dead. 2 days after that, these boys dead.
Now let that sink in for a second. Prosecutors are saying that YNW Melly and Bortland didn't just lose their friends that night. They actually tried to cover up what happened in an elaborate setup. According to their version, they rode around with their friends in the car after the tragedy, then allegedly fired shots at the outside of the vehicle to make it look like a random attack from the streets. That's not just shocking. That's the kind of twisted plan that sounds straight out of a movie. But it didn't stop there. Investigators also brought up screenshots of Instagram DMs where someone asked Melly about the situation, and he allegedly replied, "I did that." They even claimed that Melly was connected to a group known as the G-Shine Blood Set, and that just 2 days before the incident, he was reportedly learning the group's oath of loyalty. That detail made the entire case even more explosive. The first trial ended in a mistrial back in July 2023 after the jury couldn't reach a final decision. Since then, the retrial has been delayed over and over, now set for January 2027. Melly has been behind bars for more than 6 years without a conviction, while his co-defendant, Bortland, took a plea deal in October 2025 for lesser accessory-related charges. The delays have only made people more curious about what really went down that night. And now we get to why these leaked tapes are such a huge deal. The footage features Jacoby Mills, also known as Cortez Jacoby, who's said to be Bortland's blood cousin and one of the people in the red car that night.
Like DeAndre told somebody, everything Melly get, I get half.
Me do.
You hear that? He said he do. He just said Juvie and DeAndre, Sack Chaser, are YNW, and Sack Chaser is supposed to get half of everything.
These interrogation tapes were first recorded back in January 2019, just a few months after everything went down, and long before most of the details were ever made public. That timing is major because it means Jacoby Mills was talking about key details that nobody outside the investigation even knew yet. That alone makes his statements hit way harder and adds real weight to what he said. But what's got everyone side-eyeing the situation is the timing of this leak. These videos suddenly popped up in November 2025, right as Melly's retrial is being set up. So people are asking some serious questions. Were these clips leaked on purpose to sway public opinion before court starts again? Could they be tied to one of the civil cases that are still dragging on? Or did they just happen to surface now as part of the legal discovery process? The timing feels too perfect to ignore. And the reaction from the hip-hop world? Absolutely explosive. Everyone from big-name commentators like DJ Academics to random fans on Twitter is chiming in. The internet split right down the middle. Some people say this is the final piece that proves Melly's guilt, while others are calling Mills a snitch who's breaking loyalty for his own benefit. The drama online is unreal. What makes it even more complicated is that in the clips, Mills keeps saying he's not snitching. He claims he's just trying to help his friends by clearing things up. but the stuff he reveals is so detailed and so heavy that it's hard to see how it helps anyone but the prosecution. We're back, and things about to get seriously intense. If you thought part 1 was wild, get ready, because this next part dives deep into what Jacoby Mills actually said during that interrogation. And trust me.
So she just took your clothes?
I mean, no, she got everybody's clothes. Everybody's clothes that was in there.
Why? My mind is telling me there's some, hiding of evidence type shit going on.
It's some of the most shocking stuff the hip-hop world's heard in years. The energy in that room was unreal, and the things Mills described had everyone watching in disbelief. He didn't just talk around the story. He broke down the entire night step by step, almost like a full timeline of how everything allegedly played out. Some of the details he shared was so specific, so vivid, that it's hard not to get chills hearing them. Mills started by walking investigators through what went down in New Era recording studio that night, and right away, you could tell something about the vibe felt completely off. According to him, they pulled up around midnight ready to work, but the usual excitement was missing. Everyone seemed tired, drained, and not really into it. Now in the studio game, that's a big red flag. Time is money, and when you pay for studio hours, you don't waste them unless something heavy is hanging over the crew. Then Mills' story took an even more dramatic turn. He painted Sack Chaser as being on edge, acting controlling, and getting frustrated at people dozing off during the session. He even claimed Sack Chaser was calling people out and getting physical to wake them up. Mills described Sack Chaser as unpredictable and known for having a short temper, which lines up with what others have said about tension bubbling inside the YNW crew. There were whispers for years about drama over money and control, but this leaked audio finally gives us a deeper look into those long-standing disputes that might have pushed things to the edge. According to what's been floating around from multiple sources, there was major friction over a record deal said to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sack Chaser allegedly believed he was the real boss of YNW and deserved half of whatever Melly made. That kind of disagreement can turn a close crew into rivals real fast. And it sounds like those money issues were eating away at the team from the inside. Then Mills drops details about the seating arrangement in the cars that night, something that could completely change how we understand the events. He confirms that in the gray Jeep, Bortland was driving. Sack Chaser sat in the front passenger seat, Melly was behind Bortland, and Juvie was behind Sack Chaser. Meanwhile, Mills rode in the red car with Tay driving, Fetty in the passenger seat, and Adrian Davis in the back. But here's the part that really sends chills down your spine.
The remix of Melly song, listen to that bitch. What he said, bust a nigga head, something.
Mills said that he actually tried to ride in the Jeep that night, but something deep inside him stopped him. He called it divine protection. Others might call it gut instinct. But either way, he felt something bad was about to happen with that specific group. This lines up with what prosecutors have been saying, that the incident wasn't just a heated argument gone wrong, but something that might have been planned out ahead of time. But now comes the part that'll leave you speechless. Mills described how after everyone left the studio, the group pulled up to the house in Sunset Lakes and ended up waiting outside for about 30 minutes because nobody had the keys to get in. Most of the crew eventually went inside and crashed out. But around 4 a.m., Mills said his phone rang, and it was a call from his mother that shook him to the core. She told him someone had reached out with a warning, saying that he and his friends were in serious danger. Just imagine that, getting a call in the middle of the night saying your whole crew is being threatened. That's next level scary. And it showed how deep the tension had gotten. When people start dragging family members into it, you know things have gone way past just music or money issues. Then Mills said his phone started blowing up. Missed call after missed call from Melly, and even 17 calls to Drew, the group's videographer. When you see that kind of call pattern in the middle of the night, you know something major just went down. And then came the part that really made everyone's jaw drop. Mills claimed that Melly later FaceTimed him, acting heartbroken, but said it didn't seem real. He described Melly as pretending to cry with no actual tears, almost like he was performing instead of grieving. According to Mills, it felt like Melly was putting on a show to sell the idea that he was devastated by what happened. In the streets, being able to fake emotions like nothing happened is seen as a cold skill. And according to Mills, that's exactly what made this situation so disturbing. If what he said is true, then we're talking about someone who could lose his closest friends and immediately flip into performance mode, pretending everything was fine just to keep up appearances. That's chilling on another level.
As we done jumped in front of them, it was already too late. We can't try to pull over and get back behind them.
Mills also gave very specific details about what Melly looked like when he later saw him at Fredo Bang's house. He mentioned that Melly had switched into a tank top and gym shorts, a full outfit change that might have been connected to trying to clean up or get rid of evidence. What's wild is that this same detail about a clothing change was confirmed by multiple witnesses during the earlier trial, adding even more weight to Mills' story. But just when you think it can't get crazier, it does. Mills claimed that the next morning, the group went out searching in a nearby wooded area, and that's where things took a shocking turn. He said they came across a .40 caliber gun that appeared to have blood on it. Mills said that he briefly held it before a manager quickly took it away. That's a serious claim, and if true, it could explain a lot about how certain things went missing from the investigation. He also mentioned that the group was searching for another weapon, something described as a tech, probably a Tech 9, but that second item was never found. This part is huge because prosecutors have always said they never recovered the main weapons linked to the case, no matter how hard they searched.
Through all of this, Mills kept saying that Bortland wasn't really part of any of the violent actions that night. He described Bortland as someone who wasn't built like that, more of a loyal friend than a street enforcer, and said he didn't have it in him to do something as cold and calculated as what allegedly happened. That detail could explain why Bortland later took a plea deal for accessory-related charges, instead of being hit with the same level of charges as Melly. But Mills didn't just stop at describing what went down. He started breaking down why he thought it happened, and that's where things really started getting messy. He suggested that the whole thing might have been a setup from the beginning, even comparing it to other major hip-hop cases, like King Von's tragic death. Then came the wildest part. Mills brought up Youngboy's name and started questioning how Youngboy seemed to know so much about the situation. According to Mills, Youngboy made social media posts and allegedly dropped a remix track that included details that only someone close to the situation would have known. That instantly sparked speculation online, with fans claiming it could mean there was more going on behind the scenes than anyone realized. But let's keep it real. After digging through all the public info, there's been zero verified evidence that such a remix ever existed, and no federal investigations have linked NBA Youngboy to this case in any way. Still, the fact that Mills even mentioned Youngboy is wild on his own, because it reminds everyone of the tension that once existed between their circles. Whether NBA Youngboy had any real connection to what happened or not, the fact that his name even got brought up shows just how tangled the politics of the hip-hop world can get. These kinds of links highlight how deep relationships, rivalries, and loyalty lines can run behind the scenes in the industry. What makes Mills' statements even more striking is how many of his 2019 claims later turned out to match real evidence, details that weren't public back then but have since been verified through court documents and reports. For example, Mills mentioned that Juvie's thumb had been injured in a very specific way, something that wasn't made public until attorney John Phillips released autopsy photos in 2025. Mills also described exactly where Melly was picked up by Fredo Bang after everything happened, and that location matched the cell phone data revealed years later during the trial. Those kinds of details gave his story a level of credibility that's hard to ignore. Still, through the entire interrogation, Mills kept saying he wasn't trying to betray anyone. He repeated over and over that he wasn't snitching. He said he was just trying to help his friends and clear things up. At one point, he even admitted he was scared for his own family, worried that someone might come after them because he decided to cooperate with the authorities. That fear gave his testimony an even more emotional and raw edge. When the leaked tapes finally hit the internet, the reaction was beyond crazy. Social media exploded. Commentators like DJ Academics dissected every second of the footage, while fans on Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube debated whether Mills was being truthful or just trying to protect himself. What really stands out in all of this is how these revelations tie into the bigger picture of loyalty and betrayal. In both hip-hop and street culture, there's that unspoken rule: never cooperate with law enforcement, no matter what. But when your own friends lose their lives and you start suspecting that another friend might have been involved, that line between loyalty and doing what's right starts to blur fast. The emotions, the pressure, the fear, it all gets tangled up until nobody knows who to trust anymore. Now, in our final part, we're diving into what all of this means for Melly's upcoming retrial, how it's shaking up the entire hip-hop world, and what kind of ripple effects it's creating far beyond just one courtroom. Because let's be real, this isn't just about one high-profile case. This is a story about loyalty, money, influence, and what happens when those forces crash into each other in the worst possible way. And the fallout? It's wild. The leaked videos have lit up the culture like a spark in dry grass, spreading fast across every corner of social media and hip-hop commentary. We're seeing major debates online about what loyalty really means in today's game, whether speaking out makes you brave or a snitch, and how these unwritten street codes are clashing with modern fame and legal realities. This whole situation is shaking the foundation of how the industry views brotherhood and betrayal, from courtroom drama to label politics, from artists trying to protect their image to fans questioning who's real and who's not. The impact of Mills' revelations is being felt everywhere. Let's start with the legal side of things, because these new leaks are dropping right in the middle of Melly's retrial prep, and there's no way that's just a coincidence. Legal experts are already pointing out that even though this footage probably won't be allowed in court because of authentication problems and hearsay rules, the fact that millions of people have already seen it online changes everything. It's made finding an unbiased jury almost impossible. Think about it. How are lawyers supposed to pick 12 fair-minded jurors when half the internet has already watched Jacoby Mills describe in detail what he believes happened that night? The defense team will definitely push to have this footage suppressed and might even request a change of venue, since holding a fair trial in the same area after a viral leak like this would be almost impossible. The influence of social media on this case is unreal. But here's where things get even more interesting from a legal strategy point of view. Some people are speculating that the timing of these leaks could actually be linked to the ongoing civil suits from the victims' families, cases where they're seeking financial damages. And in civil court, the rules are totally different. Hearsay is treated more loosely, and the burden of proof is way lower than in a criminal case. That means even if the footage can't be used in Melly's criminal retrial, it could still hold serious weight in civil proceedings. To make things even messier, rapper Fredo Bang has reportedly been pulled into depositions connected to the civil suits. He wasn't even directly involved in what happened that night, but because Mills mentioned Melly going to his house afterwards, now he's caught in the middle of the legal web too. The reach of this case keeps growing by the day. Now, let's get into the street politics side of all of this, because that's where the story gets really layered. The leaked audio featuring Sack Chase's family talking the day after the tragedy revealed some major behind-the-scenes drama inside the YNW circle. They were heard discussing deep financial tensions and claimed that Sack Chaser was trying to stop Melly from signing what they called a devil's deal. That's some heavy talk, and it adds a whole new twist to what might have really been going on behind the music. This lines up with what's been whispered in the streets for years, that what happened wasn't about random violence or gang rivalries, but about money and control. When you're dealing with record contracts worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and one person feels entitled to half while the other disagrees, that kind of clash can tear a crew apart fast. The mix of fame, money, and pride can turn close friends into enemies overnight.
The leaked family audio also brought up suspicions about what happened in the aftermath. They discussed claims that Melly's mother may have rented a storage unit early the next morning, allegedly to move belongings and possibly hide items linked to the case. The family also pointed out that she reportedly called out of work at 5:30 a.m. that same morning, suggesting she might have known something serious had gone down before the news hit the public. It's all speculation, but those details added even more fuel to the fire surrounding this case. And then there's the NBA YoungBoy angle again, brought up by Mills, which shows just how deep these street connections can run. He questioned how YoungBoy seemed to have specific info about the situation, referencing social media posts and an alleged remix that supposedly contained hidden messages about the case. Even though there's been no confirmed evidence that such a remix ever existed, there were known tensions between their crews in the past. The fact that NBA YoungBoy's name is even being mentioned in connection with this situation shows just how tightly woven the hip-hop world really is. Beefs, alliances, and behind-the-scenes politics never happen in isolation. They're part of a huge network of relationships, loyalty lines, and rivalries that can have major consequences when things go left. One move in this game can trigger waves that hit way beyond the original circle. But now we've got to address the biggest controversy surrounding these leaks: the accusations of snitching aimed at Jacoby Mills. Throughout his entire interrogation, Mills kept denying that label. He said over and over that he wasn't trying to betray anyone. He just wanted to help his friends and get the truth out. Still, the hip-hop community's reaction has been harsh. Social media has blown up with people calling him out for cooperating with investigators, saying he broke the unwritten street code that's been a part of hip-hop for decades. No matter how you look at it, this touches one of the deepest divides in the culture. What happens when the no snitching rule clashes with the desire to get justice for lost friends? Mills was stuck in an impossible position. If he kept quiet, the people responsible might walk free. But if he spoke up, he'd be labeled a snitch and instantly become a target. That's the kind of pressure that could break almost anyone. What makes this even more intense is that Mills actually said he was scared for his family's safety because of his decision to cooperate. That fear wasn't just talk. It showed how dangerous these situations can get when street codes collide with real-world consequences. In hip-hop and street life, snitching isn't just about breaking a rule. It's about survival, reputation, and whether you make it out alive once your name gets attached to that label. This case is pulling back the curtain on some uncomfortable truths about both the music industry and street culture. The money drama and personal tension that allegedly led to this tragedy shine a light on how fame and success can flip friendships, loyalty, and family ties upside down once big checks start rolling in. When everyone's been grinding together for years and suddenly there's real money on the table, that's when loyalty gets tested the hardest. Some people see this as another example of how young black artists are often targeted and heavily scrutinized by law enforcement, while others say the forensic evidence is just too strong to ignore. Both sides are passionate, and the debate keeps getting louder. The fact that Melly has been behind bars for more than 6 years without a final verdict raises serious questions about the justice system and due process. Meanwhile, prosecutors argue that the extreme seriousness of the charges explains why the case is dragged on so long. The tension between fairness and accountability couldn't be more intense. Looking ahead to the retrial set for January 2027, it's clear these leaked tapes have completely changed the playing field. The state of Florida is still pursuing the most severe punishment possible, and legal experts say there's almost zero chance of a deal that doesn't involve life behind bars. With Bortland's plea deal already in place, possibly set him up as a witness, and now these detailed statements from Jacoby Mills going viral, the pressure on Melly's defense team is massive. Every new leak, post, or headline adds another layer of chaos to an already explosive trial. But beyond the courtrooms and media frenzy, this situation is a harsh reminder of the real human cost behind it all. Mills' description of Juvie as innocent, someone who was tired of the streets and wanted to move on from that life, hit people hard. It paints a heartbreaking picture of young talent caught between loyalty, fame, and survival. This whole story paints a heartbreaking picture of young men whose lives ended far too soon, allegedly at the hands of someone they once called family. The viral spread of these leaked clips raises huge ethical questions about our digital age. Should interrogation footage really be treated as entertainment? And how do we balance the public's hunger for information with the defendant's right to a fair trial? Those are serious questions that go way beyond just this one case. As we all wait for Melly's retrial to finally begin, one thing is for sure. These leaks have locked this case in as one of the most watched legal battles in hip-hop history. The truth about what really happened on October 26, 2018 might be more layered and complicated than anyone imagined. But Jacoby's detailed account has given the world a rare inside look at what could have gone down that night. Whether this footage ends up helping the prosecution, exposing new angles, or getting tossed out completely, the impact it's already had is undeniable. What's clear is that this case has cracked open deep conversations about loyalty, money, power, and justice within hip-hop culture, conversations that hit way deeper than any one person's fate. The streets are watching closely, the courts are gearing up for what could be a historic retrial, and the entire culture is still trying to process what it all really means. One thing's certain, this story is nowhere near over. The echoes from these leaks are going to be felt long after the final verdict drops. If you've been locked in with us through this wild breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop's biggest stories. Click on one of the videos on your screen right now to keep the conversation going, because this saga is only getting deeper from here.